Hey guys, it's Michelle with Adventure Mentality, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you some really good tips for Halloween Horror Nights at Universal in Orlando and what to do in case of rain. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, why I'm making this video in the first place is because I went to Halloween Horror Nights last month and it absolutely poured down rain for the first couple hours. It literally started raining right at 6 when they opened up the gates. And it was a downpour for at least 2, maybe 3 hours. So that really changed the dynamic of what was going on. Things weren't happening at that beginning time. Some of the shows and performances weren't happening. Some of the haunted houses were even closed because of the rain. So I want to share my tips with you so that you don't have to suffer and you'll kind of have a better game plan for if it rains. Okay, so for a couple of things that you will want to bring, I definitely would not bring capes, cloaks, anything if there's even a chance of rain. Definitely get a sturdy poncho or raincoat to bring. I don't know if I'd mess with an umbrella, but definitely a poncho. Don't worry about too many bags. For filming, if there's a chance of rain, just probably a camera. You're gonna wanna wear clothes that dry quickly, and you're gonna wanna wear shoes that do well in the rain. If you're gonna wear socks and tennis shoes, definitely bring an extra pair of socks. I will link my favorite park shoes down in the description. They are amazing. They hold up well in the rain. They've been really good so far, and I've had them for a couple years. Another thing that I would recommend that you bring would be some Ziploc bags or even just some plastic like shopping bags to put wet things in if you need to change socks or if you have other things that you need to protect from getting wet. They definitely help, so bring the gallon size Ziploc bags. If you wear contacts, don't wear your glasses if there's a chance of rain. I do that all the time. I was wearing my glasses and of course they fogged up. It does get chilly in the haunted houses when you're wet, so maybe bring a jacket. If there is a chance of rain, I definitely recommend, if you're not already in the park, getting to the gates around 4:45, slightly before 5. That way you are right up front, you're under cover. So because it was raining, a lot of the scare actors weren't out in the scare zones. The performances weren't happening in certain areas. And like I said, a lot of the haunted houses, the ones on the back side of the park, were closed. So think anything from Men in Black area all the way up to where E.T. was, where they have the classic monsters haunted house. That was all closed. We weren't aware of that, so we were going to try to do some of those things and they were closed and having to walk back to the front of the park, and lines had gotten super long. So if it is raining, I definitely recommend prioritizing all of those haunted houses at the beginning of the park. So right when you walk in Production Central and Minions down to New York, San Francisco. I highly recommend getting Express Pass. We did not have Express Pass. Some of the lines we waited in were super long. We were standing just out in the middle of the rain. It would have been a whole lot nicer, and I would have felt like I got a little bit more out of it if I had had Express Pass and was able to do more of the houses, because we missed a lot of the houses because we were walking back and forth. We were wanting to get the ones in the back and they were closed. And so yeah, it was a big fiasco. Another thing you can do while some of the haunted houses are closed is to see the Nightmare Show. It was totally cool. The music was amazing. All of the performers did an amazing job. There was fire, acrobats, dancing, everything. I definitely would rate it PG-13. I loved it. Probably would not have taken my 12-year-old daughter to see it. So while it's pouring, definitely prioritize rides and the haunted houses that are open. Even some of the food carts were closed when it was just pouring down rain. So I definitely recommend trying the specialty food that they have. We tried a lot of the things and they were really good. You can also get food and drinks and go and stand in a line, so you're killing two birds with one stone. I mentioned the scare zones. We were mostly in the scare zones in New York and in San Francisco because we're kind of walking back and forth on that path. There were scare zone actors in that area after the rain had stopped. The scare zone in between Hollywood and the kid zone, that scare zone, we walked through there a couple times and never saw any scare actors. I will say though that the scare zones that we were in when it was not raining was a lot of fun. Probably my favorite part of Halloween Horror Nights was definitely the Death Eater experience in Diagon Alley. Their show was a little bit modified because the stage was wet, so they stayed mostly underneath the covered portion of the stage. Normally they will go out into London or they will go into the other parts of Diagon Alley. For the most part, they stayed in Carpet Market area and they went into some of the stores. That is honestly and has been forever, and I will continue to say, my favorite character interaction out of any theme park that I have been at. They're just so cool. It really brings you into the world. My friend and I had dark mark tattoos, and so a lot of times that will get you some extra interaction with them. I did bring extra tattoos just in case they rubbed off, and sure enough, both of us had to replace our tattoos by the end of the night. But it was definitely a fun experience. One thing to note though about the Death Eater experience is that they end early. They do not end with the rest of Halloween Horror Nights. So they will go about every 30 minutes or so until 11-ish. So don't wait until after 11 to go see them. Definitely, if you're going to see them, want to see them a couple times, go before. We weren't aware that they were done early. We had one experience, we were going to go back for another experience, and we were super bummed because they weren't coming out anymore. It was after 11. But still, it's my favorite experience. They do start coming out during the day. Timing wise that I have seen, they start coming out around 4 and then every 30 minutes until about 11. So if you're in the park, if you're not going to Halloween Horror Nights, you can still see them. As the night went on, they did start opening more of the back haunted houses, and so we were able to jump in lines for those. Occasionally we got in line for one and they would close it down. They gave us an express pass to use at a different house. You can see the wait times for the haunted houses in the Universal app, so I definitely recommend having that. We ended up getting in line for the Last of Us haunted house at 2 a.m. because they literally opened it at 1 a.m. It was closed and it just kept saying delayed, and it was finally open. And then we got in line right at 2 when the park's closing. I'm assuming because we were allowed to get in line at 2 at The Last of Us that you can get into line for any of the houses at 2 a.m. That's the way Universal normally runs, is that you can get into a line right at park close for any ride or attraction, generally speaking. If there's something else that you want to do, another house that you want to do, or a house that you want to do again, try to jump in the line at 2. Other than that, it was a really fun experience. I think my favorite houses were the Yeti campground. That one really got me good a whole bunch of times. There were several Yetis that just were jumping out right at the perfect moments to just get me. And then I also really liked Dr. Oddfellow's haunted house. Oh, and the Classic Monsters one was definitely a favorite as well. Wasn't a huge fan of Stranger Things. I've not watched Stranger Things, so I don't know the storyline. I've heard from other people that if you watch Stranger Things, it's a really good one because it goes along with the storyline, and you'll know what's going on. I had no clue what was going on, and it didn't make sense to me. Also, The Last of Us. If you are a huge fan, definitely go on that. I haven't played the game or seen the show, and so it wasn't really all that impressive to me. All in all, we did have a good time. We got to the gates right at 4:45. They opened the gates right around 6, and we didn't leave the parks until probably a little after 3 because it was about an hour-long wait for that last house. It was my first experience at Halloween Horror Nights, and so I don't really have anything to compare it to. I wasn't sure if I would like it because when I was younger, I never liked horror stuff, never wanted to be scared. I was able to appreciate it for what it was. You really got an adrenaline rush going through there, but I really enjoyed it and I will definitely be going back again. I'm really sad that it rained. Next year when I go, I will definitely be getting Express Pass and I will probably be going more than one night. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And if you are going to Halloween Horror Nights and you have questions about it, you can feel free to put a comment below, or you can message me. If you have gone to Halloween Horror Nights and you have more tips, definitely put them down below as well, so we can make sure that everyone has an amazing time. We'll see you in the next video.